I think the perception of me, at least this is what they say when they walk up, and they said, "You have any cocaine?" I'm just joking. But they do feel like, hey, well, are you packing?
If all the world's a stage, it still wouldn't be big enough for the talent we've assembled here. 6 of the most compelling drama actors on TV in a raw, revealing conversation where nothing is off limits. Walton Goggins, Cooper Koch, Diego Luna, Eddie Redmayne, Adam Scott, Jeffrey Wright. They're all on the record, but just a little off script with The Hollywood Reporter. I'm your host, Lacey Rose. Thank you all for being here. So we're gonna start with a question for everyone. If you were to see an Adam Scott type or a Diego Luna type or insert your name here, a Walton Goggins type in a script, do you know what that means?
Lonely and sad. That's can be funny, but is also marginalized. And he'll be on his own.
It's hard to beat that.
It is, and yet I'm guessing that's not what an Adam
Walter speaks
Scott...
for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's
not what an
probably
Adam
how we
Scott-
all feel about it.
How you feel about but how does Hollywood?
But would you answer that question about yourself, or would you answer for, like, okay, Sam Rockwell? What would that be? Or do you answer it for somebody else? I guess you think about yourself. Like,
I just hate breakdowns altogether.
Yeah.
Can't speak for Sammy.
Yeah, no.
But what's a Jeffrey Wright? What is it? What does that mean?
Oh,
What is
God,
Hollywood trying to sort of signal with that?
Oh, I don't think that there's a lot written for a Jeffrey Wright type. I have to kind of slot myself into various rooms, yeah. So if there's a type, it would be probably someone akin to having multiple personality disorder or something like that. 'Cause it takes a certain flexibility. Yeah.
I think it can definitely oscillate depending on what you've done.
Sure.
There was definitely a period when I started out, and it was all slightly quirky American characters, and then it went fully into English period dramas. Anything to do with Queen Elizabeth seemed to be my type. And then after Theory of Everything, it was the sort of scientific, slightly nervous character, which and
Where are we now?
and now I'm being sent lots of sociopath assassins, basically. I find there is a thing that whatever you've done last is the thing that
They want from you.
Yeah.
Well, probably before Andor, the only projects I would get offered would be a drug dealer, right? And then I could be the nice drug dealer and not the very vicious one, but still a drug dealer, you know? And you know, when the system doesn't even send you, you know, messages of like, yes, you could probably, you know, find a way to be yourself and still work in those projects that you're looking at, you know, that you're hoping, as audience, you're hoping to see yourself reflected there. And I think things have changed in the last years, and I think this TV system has changed where audiences are sending messages that are giving us, you know, the clues of like, oh, well, if you would like to, you could pursue an idea of like actually belonging to something you've never belonged before.
Walton, you recently said, quote, "I don't think people truly knew what to do with me. I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm never going to be Brad Pitt, but I am Walton Goggins, and very few people fit in my lane."
So much of it, you know, starting out, I think, in your career early on, has to do with, we're taught to or we often compare ourselves to other people and we look in other lanes, right? And that just brings so much pain. And after doing that for the first couple of years, like, I want to be like him, or I want to be that person, you know, I realized, you know, pretty early on that I was never going to be any of those people. And this first acting teacher that I had here in Los Angeles, his name was David LeGrant, and he said, "You don't have the looks, so you better work harder than everyone in the room. You know, you better love this." Maybe I'm weird, but it inspired me. It was inspirational. I think that's kind of, you know, that's what it is, that to express yourself authentically and to be your authentic self and contribute whatever it is that you have to express or say in this medium is the only lane that you have. It's really the only thing that you can control. And
sometimes it takes a long time to figure that out.
I was gonna say, like, was it something that, did it click for you in one specific moment, or did it happen over time? Because I feel like I do that all the time. I'm just constantly comparing and like seeing what other people are doing, and I'm curious how you got past that.
God, I just want to know the answer from everybody at this table.
Maybe it never ends.
But
I'm trying to get over what that teacher said. That's a rough thing to hear.
I think you have beautiful eyes.
Rather rough thing to have said.
But I was 19 years old, and I think what he was just saying was, if you're going to go on this journey, it's better not begin, right? Once begun, better finish. And you better understand what it is that you're asking yourself to do. And so that's what, and I feel that way as fans of everybody at this table. That's what you've all done. And it's like, what are you trying to do? Not be anybody else. Be your version of all of these people that you're given an opportunity to play, right? And then hold up a mirror to nature. I think that's where the joy kind of comes from, and I think that's what I meant by that.
Sure, but I mean, it is quite harsh feedback, but it propelled you. I'm curious, is anyone else have a version of that?
Yeah, I had an acting teacher tell me I wasn't getting cast because I have a gay voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No way.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Does it propel you and inspire you in the way or motivate you?
Not in that moment.
No,
no.
I'm sure not.
I hated that, but then it starts to make you question yourself. You have self-doubt, and I mean, speaking of self-doubt, I don't know if that will ever end. I'm terrified.
I think it will. I think it will. I think that self-doubt will end.
Thank you.
You know what?
I disagree profoundly.
I disagree too. But thinking of your first question, those things when they happen, like they can propel certain kind of people, but it's not the way, to search for it.
Oh, well, that's for damn sure.
I think it's interesting to be on the table talking about TV, because I think it's the big game changer. It's like when like the middleman between the audience and us is not there anymore. There's no guy with a cigar saying like, you are gonna be a star, boy. Just people click and then suddenly go like, shit, they're watching a Mexican show. Should we pay attention to that? Yeah. And you can be as far away as you can from this system, and the system will go and search for you if there's people with the need to hear stories from that specific place,
So no, you said that before Star Wars you were getting the drug dealers. What do you get now? What is?
I still get a lot of drug dealers.
Okay, fair enough.
No, but it's just like I don't have. I'm not looking for what they want me to play. I can look for the stuff I want to do. That freedom that comes with understanding that people today care about specificity. So if you do care about like a character that comes from a very specific context, and you care about stories that have that texture and that tone, someone will care. And you can focus on what you want to do and not hear. I remember like the line of like, are you gonna clean your accent, for example? It's not anymore part of the
They don't ask
conversation anymore. Like when I was 20, it was like, man, you're great. If you work with your accent, you'll be doing what this or this other person is doing. And you go like, why would I like to do that? I mean, that's done also. Like, and
this is what makes
there's
me
someone
me.
really good at doing that.
Yeah.
I'm good at doing this other thing. And today, I think the conversation starts somewhere else, where things like those two teachers sound horrible. You don't feel like, oh shit, I wish I had that teacher when I was a kid anymore. Well, before it was like, oh, he gave me he made me strong, he made my skin thick.
They may have been slightly embittered, slightly frustrated.
Sounds like that.
Well, yeah, they're coming from a place of.
I think that tends to happen sometimes. A little, encouragement, but also a subtle undermining.
Yeah, take it down a peg or two.
A little bit.
I think if you saw a photo of me in like 1994 when I was starting out, I know for a fact, I was looking at pictures of Ethan Hawke and just being like, okay, this is what I need to do. And my hair and my jacket. I mean, Ethan Hawke was and is so cool and excellent and hot. So of course that's what I want to be. But I was chasing this thing. I was trying to be this thing, and it took me years to come to a place of kind of realizing that, like Walt said, the thing that you have, the only thing you have is you and whatever you have to bring to it. And you're the only one that can bring that thing to it. And coming to a place of being comfortable with that and being able to share that and thinking that is of any value rather than this thing that you feel is better than you. That you'll never get to that because that's not you. That's
But to celebrate that as well. That it's your differences that actually are the power and the interest that you have, rather than trying to fit into other people's mold. But it weirdly feels like quite a simple thing, but it's in practice incredibly hard
and
to.
it's so vulnerable. It's so vulnerable. Like, you just,
because if that doesn't work,
right? Then
you're
what do you do?
really in trouble.
You don't want me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just so curious, Ms. Table, the way that you feel, like Jeffrey being this far into your career, or really anybody here, what is it like for you the weeks or the night before you begin? And are those nerves and is that anxiety kind of still there? And then what is the first day or the second day of work like after you've started?
I try to, when I'm working, try to find narratives and characters that I haven't played before. And you're trying to figure out how to, wrap yourself around this new idea. And so you haven't done it before, so there's always, I find, uncertainty as to whether or not I'm going to be able to pull it off, first and foremost. That said, I just started filming. We just started again with the agency. And even having done it for, one full season and just finished, not too long ago, I still felt uncertain. Yeah. But it was for different reasons. Yeah. And I think perhaps what we do, or what I do, is we put obstacles in our way. Right. If we feel too relaxed, too content, because that's not really a sufficient place to work from, because there has to be some degree of energy, of not anxiety, but concern. I think it comes from a desire to do it and do it well. Mm-hmm. And more simply, for me, I think throughout my career, there's been a need not to make a fool of myself. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But it's still it changes over time, but I still, even last week, found myself going, am I going to be able to pull this off?
Wow.
But I'll never forget on years ago on Theory of Everything, the first day was shooting various different moments in Stephen Hawking's life. And the night before, I was so nervous that it got to like 3 a.m. and 4 a.m, and the pickup's at 5, and I'm like, no, this is day one, and I literally haven't. And I was being picked, so I got in the bath at 4:30. I was like, I can't believe this day is starting without sleep. And it got to the end of the day, the whole day was a blur, and the last scene, I had to sort of do this moment of a sort of breakdown. I was so fucking exhausted that the director just had to poke me, and I was like, But it's interesting that ever since then. And I quite often get it, it's when you ask about the night before, I often can't sleep the night before, but learning in yourself that you can survive 48 hours and function, even though it's not ideal, and accepting that that's who I am. Like, I can't get
I think that is a part of the process, I guess. Yeah.
I think, in answer to the second part of the question, in following up with that, I think at the same time, once you do get through it, you realize why you why you do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have to say that even though I do get everything you're talking about, I also have another thing that happens the day after, where it's like, shit. Oh God, I should
drive
have.
home.
I should have done this.
Of course.
And it's like, and you wish you were doing theater, and you had an opportunity to go there the next morning.
Yes.
To the theater and like get it right.
Do it
for that
over
night
again.
and
I've
do
been doing
over.
it for a scene I shot last week. Just last night, I was saying the words out loud in what I should have done.
Yeah.
Like, it's killing me. I'm in the midst of trying to wash this scene away that I know I did wrong, like 4 days ago.
I feel like that I always describe it as being like the aspiration for perfection with the acknowledgement that you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
But that thing, the drug for me, like the thing that makes me come back to it is those milliseconds that happen for me maybe once every 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gone in a second, and it can happen on stage when for some reason something suddenly clicks and you find something else happening,
It's
and
magic.
that's the drug.
It's the drug.
Do you find that on film, TV?
I've had it maybe 3 or 4 times,
Yeah.
and over 20 years, but it's so rare.
The problem with film, TV is there's evidence.
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
It's there forever.
It's there.
But it's so comforting to hear that you felt it it's nanoseconds for you and for everyone here, and just knowing how much I admire everyone's work at this table, and knowing that it's not something that you're not always feeling the greatness that I see you all generating, that it's milliseconds for you as well is beyond comforting. Because I'm lucky to get the nanoseconds.
It makes it all worth it.
Can I ask you, this is a project where, if I'm not mistaken, you auditioned for
3 times.
3 times, but for 3 different
Yeah.
Menendez brothers projects.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, that's obviously you knew it was a project, it was a story you wanted to tell. Why?
Well, yeah, it was my second audition ever that I ever had with my agent in New York, and I just watched the videos of the testimony, and it was like a Saturday morning, and I'm just like crying in my bed, just being like, holy shit, I really am so moved by this. And it was my first callback and my first screen test for anything, and I didn't get it, and I was devastated. And I remember like looking up to the sky and being so woo-woo and being like, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this. This feels like this is mine. Like I feel like I have to tell the story. And then, yeah, it came back 7 years later, and then I got to do it in the best possible way.
And so that was for a different Menendez.
Yeah, the Law and Order one was first in 2017.
Wow. Yeah.
And then there was a Lifetime movie as well that I tested for that, and then, and that was in 2017. It's like right when I started auditioning.
Do you think it helped? Do you think that character kind of ruminating in you over that period of time?
Yeah, I think I just always had such a deep, like, weird care and love for both of them that I think it always stuck with me. And I think a lot of characters that I end up deeply loving are always kind of like there. Like I remember playing like Burger and Hare in college, and like for some reason that still sticks with me. And I remember really learning how to have self-love through that process in a certain way.
Has anyone else had to sort of fight that hard for a role because you knew it was something that you were meant to play?
As I've gotten older, and a lot of those experiences, things that you might have gotten, or the things that you lost out on in your 20s, affect you or affected me much differently than they do. I'm 53, and so now I really believe, like in life, and that if it was meant for me, it's going to be for me, and if it's not meant for me, it's not going to be for me. And just because this experience didn't happen, the next one is going to come along. I feel that way about everything in my life.
Well, you've also been in multiple projects where you were supposed to be your time on these projects was supposed to be one episode and done. You were supposed to be killed up. I mean, more than once.
A serialized kind of experience.
Yeah,
No,
Justified, right?
It's Justified. It happened on the.
Well, like the Shield, the Shield. I didn't find out until the DVD commentary at the end of the first season that they wanted to fire me, and I thought, well, I only had 4 lines. And I'm like, how could I piss you off that bad? Yeah, but it was the Shield and Justified and and a few others. Yeah. But it worked out. Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
So these are projects. I mean, presumably the success of these things, even at this point in your career, the phone rings in a different way on the other side. You're hitting a cultural moment in a way that I would say sort of feels fresh and new. What do those calls look like, and how do you sort of process what's happening?
I'm just leaning into it with childlike abandon, and I suppose some people would take that opportunity to redefine how people see them and maybe become a little more aloof and a little cool. I'm just leaning more into who I am as a person, and I'm not walking into it. I'm fucking running straight at it. And the right one will fit. And yeah, I'm getting to read some really cool things now. But the work doesn't change, the attitude doesn't change, you don't change. I've been doing what I've been doing for 30 years, and the reverence that I have for this experience. And I just want to tie it back into something that you said earlier. Asking that question earlier, I, like all of you, I can't stand it. I am filled with anxiety, and I can't sleep the night before a job. But I do know, without knowing, even if I have the right questions, let alone the right answers now at this stage in my life, whether it's an interview, whether it's whatever it is, I know that once I'm there, I'll figure it out. No matter what, I'll figure it out. And that's the thing I don't question anymore at this stage of my life, which feels so good, whether it's this moment, whether it's a job, whatever it is, whether it's being a parent, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And that is a place that I think all of us can get to, that we will get to. Hopefully.
Thank you.
Anyway.
I hope I get there.
Hey, man.
It is so crazy to just, if I'm talking and all of you guys are like looking at me, I just feel this is just insane to me right now. Like, I've been watching you all for so long, my whole life, and I'm just, I feel so grateful to be here and looking at each one of you. I mean, it's just, I feel so surreal. I used to watch this all the time, like in college when I was in acting school, I would be watching this, and now to be like sitting here, it's just, it's very crazy.
Well, you're incredible. You're here for a reason.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, you were, when you got this part, you were working at Salt and Straw and teaching yoga. I'm curious, no, quite literally, I'm curious, what's the thing that you wish anyone would have told you when you guys were at that point in your career?
At the Salt and Straw point?
Sure, yes. Metaphorically speaking.
Could we all work at
Ice cream
that?
shop.
Sounds
Sorry.
delicious.
It is an ice cream shop.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Don't worry about what you feel you need to push yourself to be. What you have is already there. But at the same time, I feel like to a certain extent, that's something that is lived and that you have to come to in your own way. And there's a certain, like I said earlier, I was, when I was starting out, I wanted to be Ethan Hawke and Stephen Dorff and whatever was happening at the time. And sort of with age and with experience, you find yourself coming to a place of kind of accepting yourself and accepting what you have to offer. And I'm just so grateful that I didn't end up getting Scream 2 or I Know What You Did Last Summer or any of that stuff that I auditioned for at all. Yeah. And I would have squandered it. I wasn't ready, and I was trying to replicate something in my, whatever it was. And so I feel like the kind of path I've ended up taking is the right one, similar to what Walt was saying.
Sure.
I don't know if there's something about what I would say, and maybe it's my weird relationship with this city, because, you know, Los Angeles for British actors was like the place, the kind of the dream world, really. And we used to come over here, and it was normally in January during like pilot season, and we'd come over and we'd tell our families we were going to go and try and get work, and none of us would get any work, but we would sit here and escape the pouring rain. And so whenever I come back here, I feel like a profound romance, and it's a nostalgia. And I get that at the time we were hustling and we were trying, and I've never ever got a job, ever, from a meeting in Los Angeles. The one thing I would say is that, and maybe I have over-romanticized it, it's very easy for me to say, having been lucky enough to work, and I know how real that struggle is, but there is great joy that comes through the camaraderie of that period, of helping each other out, of all auditioning for the same stuff, of we used to do things when, you know, if someone was doing a play or had an audition, get grouped together and get that play, run it all together, because part of the point when you're starting out is you're not acting. Like you're working, like I would work in the pub, or you're not actually getting the opportunity to practice. And I look back on that period as a kind of joyful one, if you can create that vibe and that camaraderie to be. Now, of course, competition's in there. It's like all of that is very, very real. But those things of also when your friend has a break, like the celebration of that and the excitement behind that.
You know,
You had it on such a grand scale so young back home.
But thinking about what you were saying of like what I needed to be told.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Probably I needed to go through that, not to be told. But I was already there. You know, the place that makes me so like proud and that I understand belonging by being there. I was already doing theater with the companies, like with the people that shared the passion I had. I was part of a community, a family. And then Y Tu Mamá También happened, and suddenly we started traveling, and we didn't know that was even possible, that Mexican films were meant to be seen in a tiny festival in Mexico, and probably you could bring a family member, and that was it. You know, that was it was a luxury just to do them. But suddenly one started traveling, and I felt like, oh, I can work in other communities, in other places, find new audiences, and in other language. And I did the worst jobs ever. Like, it was the worst decision, you know, in terms of like, how proud are you of those films? Like,
Not
if
so
I
much.
put them all, I go like, oh, I could like keep them on the table, you know, happily. But I guess I had to go through that to understand it.
I think that's right. Do you have this feeling in this moment of like, oh, I have to strike while the iron's hot? That sort of pressure that can come from this business.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. It's tough. But like you said, I feel like I have to feel it I've got to feel it in my gut and my heart in order to want to do something. If I don't feel it, I'm terrible. Yeah. I'm awful. If I don't have that passion or that just immense empathy for the person or for the story, or where I really connect, then I'm terrible. And I've been trying to figure out, is there a way to work your way into finding that, or does it depend on what the thing is? And so then, how do you say no? How do you say yes? How do you I mean,
No, it's hard.
Even with auditioning, like, I feel like I'm better going to audition, not necessarily just to prove it to them, but I need to prove to myself that I can do it.
I'm gonna steal that one. That's a good one to say no to a film. I'm gonna ruin your film if I do it. I mean, you don't need me in your film.
And Y Tu Mamá También is actually what led you ultimately to Star Wars, which is not necessarily a linear path.
I like telling that story because I was sat down and Gareth Edwards, the director, said it somehow, something like this. He said, like, I want the tone of Y Tu Mamá También in this Star Wars film. And I was like, I never thought like the one thing would like get me close to the other, you know? And I want to do both. I grew up watching these films. I love the Star Wars universe. I want to be part, but I never thought like Y tu mamá también, and that work we did with Alfonso and the way he kept us grounded was like a key. And I remember all the people saying me what to do in order to be eligible for something like Star Wars. You know, go to the gym, change your accent, move to California, all of those things. And I was like, no, in fact, something I did in Mexico City in Spanish in 8 weeks of shooting was the key, you know?
I was saying to Cooper earlier, just outside, we were talking about, you know, the path forward and choices you're making. And something I kind of came to realize eventually was the things that ended up making any difference in my career were the choices I made for reasons other than career. It was the choices I made because it's something that I liked and I wanted to do because I thought it would be fun. It was with my friends, or I just loved the material. I thought I could bring something to it, and never even thinking about career, you know, how it could help me along. And those always, and whenever I make a decision for any other reason other than that, it goes sideways and doesn't end up doing anything.
So the only thing that I would say for young actors, and this is my philosophy, the thing that you constantly have to check is your ego, right? Just because like this moment happens, and then all of a sudden, well, then you have to do things of, you know, of a similar caliber or whatever, or you're going to be seeing the perception. Who gives a fuck what other people think? At the end of the day, for me, go to work.
Yeah.
Work begets work, and more importantly, don't manage or kind of try to dictate what that experience will be, because one will lead to another, which will lead to another. And I don't know, man. Like I remember, because after like a big job at one particular moment in my career, it's like, okay, that phone is going to ring, you know, and it didn't ring in the way that I thought it would ring, or like going back to Justified. And what that kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll just do the pilot. Great, after, you know, saying no a couple of times, but I'm gonna go to work and I can add something to this of real value. I wound up staying around. And then, you know, then Quentin called, you know, for the first time, and Django, and I went and met with him. And after we had dinner with some friends the night before, and he said, well, come in and kind of pick a role and read whatever. And I came in, he's like, I got 3 roles, this is it, you know, and got it, spent an hour with him, and he said, so, you know, thank you, that was a lot of fun, Walton. I said, oh, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna read like Sam's role, I'm gonna read Leo's role, I'm gonna read all the roles. Yeah. I don't care if I get this job. I'm saying your words in front of you, man. Yeah. This is the only reason I'm in this. This is the drug. Yeah. And we spent, you know, I've told this story before, but like an hour and a half. And ultimately it worked out the way that it worked out. And it was because of that. There's no ego. Yeah. Whatever, if I can, you know, whatever. You just wanted to play. Which led to the Hateful Eight, you know? Yeah. And it's just kind of the way things happen. And I think we all have to constantly kind of check in with our egos and kind of where we are and how we see ourselves or how other people see us, right? And to be really honest about that.
I think what we're all saying, I feel similarly to what everyone said, but I think it goes back to this idea of finding the self, which is a process of kind of stripping away all of the things that are added on and all the things that may be false, and finding oneself. But I think early on, it begins with having a perspective, with having interest in things beyond just being in front of the camera or being on the stage, because it's only in that way that you're able to find something that resonates with you on the page. I mean, I tell young people all the time, if you're gonna, if you want to do this, study anything but acting, study biology, study anything that gives you a sense of reference.
Get out in the world.
And context. Because at the end of the day, the thing that we're asked to do is to communicate something so that it can be understood. In order for us to do that, we have to understand it ourselves.
Sure.
And so if you're, to your point as well, Eddie, I mean, the nostalgia for that time when you're just scrambling, just trying to figure, I mean, those are the best days. Enjoy those days.
Yeah. But I'm conscious it's hideous at the time.
I can just see Cooper's face being like, oh, I don't
It was
know.
such a bummer back then.
It's it's the cliche, it's the journey. It's not.
there is a
it's not
romance to
the
that.
location. I think I worked with when we did Angels in America. Yeah, I'd get these calls. Yeah, Al wants to rehearse, on his own. He wants to. He's got a room over on 57th Street. He wants to. Yeah, sure, I'll go, of course. This happened like a dozen times. Mike Nichols directing, but Al just wanted to work through the script and dig down into the script, and then ultimately we did the piece, we performed it, but it seemed to me that he was much more interested in the process of getting there. Than in the final outcome.
Yeah.
For him, that was everything. Just the journey. The journey was far more critical for him than the ultimate destination. And I think there's something to be said for that. Said of that generally.
Because what we do doesn't happen if there's no one in front. If we are not sharing it, if it's meant to be a collaboration, and it's about that encounter, and we tend to talk about acting, and this industry like pushes you to think about a career, but it's about how many encounters you can have in life, with others that do what you do, that can enrich your perspective. But the
Experience.
The connections, the moments, the echo you found in someone else is what I guess I it's my drug.
I think that, I would argue the thing that is still so special about Pacino, and knowing that he takes all of this time to just explore the piece and the scene or whatever it is that, and I would say still, like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, watching Pacino on there, and it's still it's very simple what's so special about Al Pacino. And I think for me, it's that when I see his work, he does things, whether it's a glance or a monologue or whatever it is, he does stuff that I've only seen in real life. Mm-hmm. I've only seen people behave that way or have that feeling, even if it's nonverbal. Like when he leaves the room in Godfather 2 and Kay is sewing and he decides he hasn't seen her in months, but he's not gonna tell her he's home, and just the way he backs out of that room, I've never seen that on film before. That's behavior that is real, and it's because he is thinking about it from all angles for weeks probably. And he knows that feeling, and he's able to replicate it. It is a magic trick, and it's rare that you see something that kind of genuine and real.
We're talking a lot about how the industry sees you, how you see yourself. I'm curious sort of how fans see you. If fans are going to approach you on the street in an airport or what have you these days, what do they tend to recognize you from, and what do they say?
Always just, can I have a picture? And just those words. And yeah, I've developed a rule.
Which is?
Give me a compliment first. Give me a compliment. Just give me a compliment. Just say you liked the show before you ask for the photo. And then, because then it's just like, well, what? That's all you want? You don't want to talk to me? Like, I would talk to you. Like, I had someone the other day, like, just follow me to the car at the grocery store, and can I have a photo? And I'm just like, I'll be nice. I'm super nice. I'd never be rude to somebody, but
help me load my groceries into the back of the car.
or just like, I would rather connect. Like, and then when you do have those connections with people who stop you and say, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't want to bother you, but I loved you in the show. You're amazing. Like, I was really moved by your thing, or whatever it is. Like, then that's like, oh, that feels so good. And And we really live in an age where like a photo is so precious to people, but and then you send it to your friends, and then that's it. There's no connection in it. Yeah, that's been an interesting sort of thing.
I think the perception of me, at least this is what they say when they walk up and they said, "You have any cocaine?" I'm just joking. But they do feel like, hey, well, are you packing? But I think that people feel like, oh man, like I know this guy. I feel like I want to have a drink with this guy. I want to hang out with this guy, and I don't know if it's because of where I come from, or just kind of the way I kind of move through the world. People just feel like they have a right, and I just feel like they do.
Yeah.
In the sense, because it's like I've asked you to come in to spend 84 hours of your life with me.
Yeah.
And I can't. Are you joking? Okay, so what did you think? Really, what did you think? What did you think was going to happen? It got into disagreements, and but I
You have
I don't think. I think you missed the point.
Like you feel compelled to explain it to these
Well,
fans.
yeah. I mean, if they're sharing an idea of something, this is what I said. Well, it's interesting that it hit you that way. I think you're wrong, but that's it. But and I quite like having those conversations. And this is going to sound so weird, but like, there are other parents here. I'm a father, and for so long, and I still feel that way. And my son has taken more selfies, man. Like he has been just like, here you go, buddy, you take this. Somebody passed the phone to him. But I just feel like every time I'm stopped on the street, I can provide for my family. Like it is a blessing. It's not a curse. And
also, it's not the same. You cannot talk about the audience, as
No,
one
of course
thing,
not.
or like the idea of fans as a monolithic idea, because I think, like, for example, the guys who belong to the Star Wars community, they care profoundly. They know, they're experts in what you're working on, and that feels amazing. Or then when I go to Mexico, like I've been acting since I'm 7, so I'm part of, like, I'm a piece of furniture of their houses, like they arrive and they just go like, yeah, well, Diego, I mean, he's been around forever, and you're like, yeah, okay, but what's your name? Cool. I mean, and that's a different connection. And then I come to this country and it's like, shit, man, we didn't know that was possible. It's so nice to have you in that film, and if you're Mexican in the States, it means a lot,
For me, I appreciate, like, you're talking about, like, these, like, Star Wars, like, with the Batman or something like that's how invested people are. They just feel a personal connection to these stories and characters. And I think that I've grown really to respect that, because particularly now, when things are so uncertain in the world, and so odd and precarious, that people find genuine hope and a real sense of personal connection and comfort in story.
I think we've all experienced that ourselves too. Like I've experienced that all the time with the shows that I watch and the people that I see. Yeah.
It's not a superficial thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a critical thing. So, for example, going to, like, Comic-Con, for example, I love going to Comic-Con.
You do.
I love it. Because you get an opportunity to experience this genuine appreciation. It's a genuine appreciation that otherwise becomes completely abstracted, because you don't have that connection between the stage and the audience as you do in the theater. But I mean, it depends on the piece, but.
If it wasn't genuine, they wouldn't go to the trouble of going there and going up to you.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with Severance. People that come up and want to talk about Severance are really interested.
What do they ask? What do they say?
Well, mostly it's talking about how much they love it, who they watch it with is really important, and I love it. Yeah, and it's great because when we first made the show, it was in a bubble, and we figured it was so weird. Maybe people would watch it, but maybe it would just be ignored. Like, we never thought it would connect the way it's connected. So when people come up and want to talk about it, I love it. And people are so smart and invested and involved. And I think, like you were saying, it being it being on television, whether it's on their iPad or on their screen at home, it's really ingrained into their lives in a different way. And there's a comfortability, like you were saying too, that's really lovely.
Do they give you plot suggestions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Season 2.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
One of the things, sorry, just jumping in,
Please.
that I've experienced, because I haven't done TV that it comes out weekly like this for a while. And again, in a time in which the world is becoming like somehow less communicative, the fact that people are talking and waiting that week, the sustain, I really felt it with your show, like that sort of anticipation, the water cooler, discussions, and the way that people want to stop you to really
To have a connection.
and I found that so thrilling. That's been like compared to all of the other things I've done, I've never felt that so like virulently.
When you're out in the world, like in the midst of a season where there are like cliffhangers and whatever, like the anticipation for the next one, it really is a really new feeling. Yeah,
It's
it's so fun.
Yeah.
People coming up and wanting to know, but they don't want to know. It's really fun.
There was a moment I was in New York, in the city, like, I don't know, like episode 7 of the White Lotus or whatever, and I was just kind of walking down the street, and it was the most surreal aspect of it was like a dude, like on a 5th floor, he could walk a balcony. Goggins, come on, Rick, like make it Rick. And then somebody going by a car, Rick Hatchett, like just you found peace, man, you found peace. Somebody on a bike, a dude kind of came out of a shop, and you're just like, and it's like Goggins, and I was like, hey, what's up, man? I hope so. And it was, for like block after block, and it was like,
it just feels so good.
It was no ego, right? It was just like
fun.
This is just something culture is participating kind of in this moment, and you just happen to be a part of it, and it is a part of this exchange.
Who's the fellow actor that you drop anything and everything to act with, but haven't yet? Anyone who has one?
Jeffrey Wright.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a hard question in a table where you
Okay,
would
don't
probably
exclude
do it.
everyone at this table.
Everyone has to
Exclude
pick-
everyone.
everyone has to pick
No,
someone.
no. Exclude everyone at this table. Is there someone you're dying to work with? Manifest it here.
For me, I mean, Al Pacino is someone. Harrison Ford, is, is everything to me. He's still doing incredible work.
Someone that I worked with, but for one scene, but I would love to work with more is Ben Whishaw. I think he's
so good.
extraordinary.
Fassbender.
Oh, so good.
Michael.
I'll do
Yeah,
a scene
please.
with Walter and Fassbender and Walter and Michael.
Yeah.
Come over and we'll be
Let's
at
do
it next
that.
week. Come on over.
Who's got an iPhone? Let's go to work.
Honestly, Parker Posey. God, I would die to do something with her.
She's a true original.
That's
You talk about someone who has always been their authentic self.
Incredible.
Oh, for sure.
Fearlessly.
If you could pop up in another project, even just as a guest star, is there anything you guys would love to jump into?
I would sever.
You would say, okay. All right.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what's like active right now, and because I would say like The West Wing or something, but that's not.
I mean, so would I.
Yeah.
Just
It'd
any
be
opportunity
great
to
in
work
the
with
West
Alison Janney and Bradley
man.
Whitford.
I would say the Flight of the Conchords.
Oh,
it's so
you'd be great
good.
in that.
Oh, yes.
I feel like, Jeffrey, we could do like a Jackal agency.
Do a little mashup.
Like mashup.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be really quite interesting.
I think we might consider it. See, the problem for me, I've
You don't
only.
seem too keen, Jeffrey.
It's like,
We could do it in this
Mr. Jackal
context.
would win.
We could do it in this context because I've only like lately been watching like documentaries, which I tend to do too much, trying to figure out what's going on in the world. So I've been watching like. Well, I did a film about Russia, so I started digging down into into kind of recent Russian history and then going back, and then now and autocrats, because the film is it's called The Wizard of the Kremlin. So I was digging down, and then I started digging down into, because there's an overlap between Soviet history and Chinese history, and started digging down into like Mao and these. So I've been watching a lot of historical documentaries. So maybe we could find ourselves, somehow, planted inside the history of these things as these characters, because they were there in like kind of frightening ways. These CIA operatives and the like. Maybe we'd do that.
What is the most used emoji on your phone? Sounds like a crazy question. It's actually revealing.
I have the hug.
You're the hug. See,
Yeah.
that is,
Oh, that's nice.
but that says something about
I have this the grin, like
The half
that,
the-
like that, super cool. And I do,
That
but I
makes
do
so
that and I
much
follow it
sense.
up with one with shades.
It does make so
Not
much
shades.
sense.
Yeah.
I have the one with like the massive amount of teeth. That one, which is a story of mine. It's sort of apologising for something that's gone sort of catastrophically wrong. But I've recently got into what are they, stickers?
Stickers.
So Ursula Cabrera, who plays my wife in the Jackal, has the most her text messages make me barely laugh with stickers. So I've just saved all of them, and occasionally I just send them to people randomly just to cheer them up. And they're like a guaranteed instant fix.
Oh, her.
No, they're
she
just her
does, okay.
taste in, which is
Love it.
yeah.
I'm a dad, so the thumbs up. I tend to, and my kids are just like, Jesus Christ. Use something else.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So funny.
Use the thumbs up
The
too.
dad thumbs.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
That
you
is-
shut that down.
Yeah. I need to stop.
Yeah.
Facepalm is mine. Just the.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great one.
That's great.
I love that.
It's so
That's a great
perfect
one.
for
It's
so
so
good.
many
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Diego,
It's
do you
fitting.
have? Do you have one?
I'm boring. I have like one that I use. It's a little boy dancing that is very sweet, but that's
How is
it.
that boring?
Well, because it's been happening for 8 years or 9 years. I mean, yeah.
Committed to it.
Is that like an affirmation, like right on, sort of like
It's
a,
like
in
yeah. I mean, it's gonna get better. It works for everything. It works for.
Okay,
Don't
yeah.
worry, life is
Sure.
fun. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you just said something great, or
Yeah.
shit, I'm
It's
having a
all
shitty
purpose.
day. I wish I was this boy. I just use that one.
I'm really worried that
great.
these emojis are like indicative of our personality.
They
I should
are.
have thought harder about that
Yeah.
before.
But they absolutely are. My other one, so much of our media is served up to us. What does the algorithm think you like? So maybe that's as simple as your...
On Instagram, they think I like videos that are focused on great heights, and these kids that climb to the very top of skyscrapers, to the top of the antenna at the top of a skyscraper with their faces covered because it's illegal. Have you seen these videos?
Yeah.
Why are you
With
being
the-
served things?
Yeah, they hold up a flag, and they bring a drone up there to get.
Oh, they have
and
drones now.
Yeah, they
Not
bring
the-
it
not
up,
the
and
Like
then
Spider-Man.
they do the stick too.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, and sometimes they fall, and it's a whole subculture of
They
Oh shit.
yeah,
die?
yeah.
Oh wow.
There's a documentary of it. It's crazy, but it's all I get sent on Instagram are these terrifying videos of people climbing skyscrapers.
I
Fascinating.
get hotels in other countries. Like I'm just
Yeah.
constantly like looking at like, so where can we go? And and I'm just like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith again? Like, please stop, leave me alone.
Anyway.
Instagram? A lot of food, a lot of recipes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah. Among other weird shit.
Yeah.
But consistently, some good food.
Do you
good
make the
eats.
food? Do you
Make-
actually?
yeah,
I
making
do.
food.
I haven't been cooking lately, but yeah, I I download recipes off of Instagram more.
And that's
more than
videos
anything.
keep coming.
Isn't it that like that when you get that little taste of like, oh my God, look at that focaccia with rosemary by this what, and then you click on it, it's like you can do that. You really can do that. It really is that easy. I've done that many times.
Sure.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Anyone else has one?
Mine is a mixture of. So I was doing music on Broadway last year, Cabaret, and I keep tabs on how the cast are all doing via their Instagram things. So there's a lot of Kit Kat Club content, and Stanley Tucci. Just Stanley Tucci. Because Stanley Tucci just always makes me happy.
It's great. That show he did on
Italian
food,
one, yeah.
it's amazing.
There's a new one coming. I saw there's a
is that
gigantic
right?
poster on Sunset. His new Italy. I mean, he's got something right. Touring across Italy, teaching us how to make Negronis.
Yeah, he figured it out.
Yeah.
Great gig.
He makes me happy too. On that note, thank you all for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you.
for
Thank you
doing
for
this.
having us.
Does anyone want to make a toast?
To be rich in friends is to be poor in nothing. What a joy. An experience.
Nice one.